Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a first impressions review for you of the Make Up For Ever HD Skin Foundation. I actually filmed this a month or two ago, so I apologise that I'm late in getting this one up. I'm going to tell you from the offset, this video is pretty much a fail. However, having played with it since, I love this foundation and it's actually the one I wore on my wedding day. Even though this foundation in this particular review didn't stand the test of time, I felt it was still beneficial to show you because this is a product that you can build on top of and it totally doesn't go cakey. So for that reason, it's a massive win for me. I had plans to film a full face tutorial, but halfway through I decided just to make this a review of the foundation. That's why the eye makeup is super simple, and I decided to still show you the products that I used. I've prepped the skin with the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base and the eye base, and then I've gone in with the BECCA First Light Priming Filter, and now I'm just going to coat the lips in some lip balm so my skin is prepped. This one is by Dr. Esho. I do apologise, I have come home from my wedding with a cold, so if I sound stuffy, that will be why. On my cheekbones, I'm applying a small amount of Crystal Nebula Elevated Glow by Lisa Eldridge. You know, I absolutely love this. It works beautiful underneath foundation for a glow from within. This also has an ingredient in it that tightens the skin, which is great around this area because we tend to get fine lines and wrinkles around our eyes. You can blend this in with a brush, I just like to use my fingers. And then down the centre of my face, I'm using my MURAD Oil and Pore Control SPF 45. It may feel like a lot of products, but I've put them in specific areas, like the backlighting primer would not be applied to my T-zone, and the oil and pore control is only going through the T-zone, so it's all about placement. However, for this particular foundation, my preference is just to use the Make Up For Ever Shine Control Primer through the T-zone, and that has worked wonders for this foundation. If you are oily, you can opt for the Shine Control Primer, which is a little bit more fluid, a little bit more hydrating, but it is still mattifying. Or if pores and texture is your problem, you can reach for the Pore Minimizing Primer, which is a little bit thicker in its consistency, but it's still beautiful. Both will give you a mattified base and they work in synergy with the foundation. This is not a sponsored video, I've paid for all of these items myself, and I cannot tell you how much better the foundation performed when it was paired with a Make Up For Ever primer. So this is the foundation, it's the HD Skin Foundation. I also purchased the Make Up For Ever sponge that they recommend. This is the side that I tried initially, and trust me when I say it's awful. I really just don't understand it. It's quite hard and it's not a nice thing to kind of rub on your face. I don't get it. I could be using it wrong, so if you've got any recommendations, please leave them in the comment section. So I proceeded to use the foundation with the regular side of the sponge, and it's really lovely. The shade I'm using is a neutral base, but it does tend to pour a little bit more yellow because at the beginning of April we had some lovely sunny days and I've got some colour, but that's given me a bit more of a red undertone on my chest, and this is definitely pulling a little bit more yellow. So you're just going to have to bear with me on that because it's the only shade I had that I could review it with. So the foundation is relatively fluid. I really love how it goes onto the skin. It's not like water, but it is extremely lightweight, that it looks like skin much more than any other foundation I've ever used, but it does give you the coverage. Now this claims to be a 24-hour wear foundation. It claims that it doesn't crack and that it doesn't cling to dry patches or emphasize any dry patches, and it's supposed to be sweat proof and humidity proof. It says it's ideal for normal to combination and oily skin types. However, I do think this would still be fine with a drier skin type. I find it to be really quite hydrating and glowy, and it's available in 18 shades. I wanted to keep this particular product in to show you. It's the Liquid Brow Silk Max Hold by Iconic London, and it's revolutionary. It's almost like having the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze in a liquid form on a brush. As soon as you brush your hairs up, they literally stay in place and do not move all day long. If you've never tried it, get your hands on it. It's phenomenal, and I'm going to link it below for you. Again, not sponsored. This was a gifted product. I've used it every day since, and I used it on my wedding. My last upload was from this tutorial. This is the same footage, so I'm not going to leave it in this tutorial, but I paired it with a Good Apple concealer, and in that tutorial I'll show you how to prevent your concealer from creasing. This concealer works beautifully with this particular foundation. As you can see up close, they look lovely, and also you can see that the foundation here is seamless. So just moving on to finishing the skin, I took the Natasha Denona Sculpt palette and I used the cream contour just to emphasize the hollows of the cheeks and a little bit around the hairline, nothing too heavy. I usually get a ton of questions about the makeup rather than just the actual foundation, so I'm leaving all this footage in, and I will link everything in the description bar, but feel free just to skip forward to the wear test if you are just here for the foundation review. And next week's tutorial is going to be on the application of these eyelashes, just to show you how easy it is to achieve this kind of eyelash look, which is a little bit spiky but still natural, and it's using a set of lashes that are only £2.56. So don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss that one. Here I'm just using a little bit of the powder from the Sculpt palette to set the cream, and now I'm going in with this Peach Bud lipstick by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is so pretty. I love a peachy lip, as you know, and these lipsticks are so hydrating. So much so that I've decided to work it onto the back of my hand, and I'm going to use it as my blush. So as you can see, I'm always working from the back of my hand. So I'm using the IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe Perfection No. 7 brush, and I'm pressing that onto the apples of the cheeks and then fading the colour into the bronzer. You literally can do this with any lipstick, and it's a great way to pair your lipstick and your blush for a monochromatic look. Your blush does not need to be as heavy as your lips. You can just really work it off onto the back of your hand. This is a silicone based foundation, so the longevity is better than say a water based foundation, but I still like to set the centre because I do tend to get quite oily. That's why I find that the Makeup Forever primer definitely works better underneath this foundation than say my MURAD Oil and Pore Control primer. I've dipped my brush into a powder blush just to set the lipstick that I've got on the cheeks, because it is a cream and I want it to last all day, and it actually works really well. You'll see in the video my blush lasts most of the day. So I'm going to go about my day, and I'm just going to do a few check-ins with you. The first one is going to be 2 hours later while I'm in the car. As you can see, my skin is starting to look very glowy through the centre, but I'm not going to touch it until we come in, which is now. This is 4 hours later. It hasn't lasted very well at all. But remember, this isn't with the Makeup Forever primer underneath. So we have some movement going on through the T-section, around my chin and around my jaw where I'm consistently touching my face. I'm going to zoom in so you can really see. It's definitely not the worst foundation. You can see it's just starting to separate around my nose where my natural oils are coming through, and obviously around where I am touching my face at the bottom, because that's what I seem to do. I'm going to zoom right in so you can see my pores around my nose where the oil is coming through and it's starting to move the foundation. Now for some of you it would be a pain to have to top up your makeup, but when you are oily it's something you sometimes have to do. So I wanted to see if this was salvageable, and this is the part that really impressed me. I'm removing the oil with my Revlon oil absorbing volcanic stone. If you don't have one of these, then get one if you're oily, because they are brilliant. It's a great way to instantly mattify your skin. It absorbs oils, you don't have to stick a tissue to your face to absorb it. Or you could use oil absorbing papers, which I took away with me, and they were brilliant when I was in the parks. This one I will link below for you. It's only about £12. Once I've done that, I like to go in with a brush and press the remaining makeup into the skin to make sure there's no seams. I like to soften everything before I go in with any new foundation. So I'm taking half a pump of the foundation back on the sponge, and I'm going to stipple that over the areas that's lacking foundation, which is mostly through the T-zone. Now bearing in mind I haven't got a ton of makeup on my face, but I have tried this foundation a number of times since with various amount of layers, and you can just keep on building this foundation and it does not get cakey. It is phenomenal. And again, once you use the primers, you don't need to top it up. I used this on my wedding day with the Makeup Forever primer underneath, and I didn't touch it once, and it lasted the entire day. It did transfer a little bit onto Tommy's nose after all of our kissing, but it didn't come off my face. It didn't look patchy. You can see my face is a little bit excited here because I'm looking at it, putting it on, realising that it's just layering beautifully. It was over 30 degrees in heat on my wedding day, and it lasted extremely well. So I've just popped a little bit more of the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Powder, and as you can see it looks so good again. I mean, I haven't really taken the time to completely perfect it. I just wanted to see how buildable it was, and as you can see this is so good I could go back out again. So another 6 hours later, this is my face. Again, we did not have the primer on underneath, so the breakdown is happening through the center of the face and where I'm touching around the jaw. I would say it's not completely transfer proof like they said, but it doesn't crack, and when paired with a primer it works so well. Here I didn't actually top up any more of the foundation, but it really has come away. Again, I will zoom in so you can see the foundation up close. Because the foundation isn't at all cakey, even with powder on top, again, you could just repair this. I know not everybody wants to have to keep touching up their foundation, but if you're looking for something that really is skin-like, this is phenomenal, especially when you pair it with a Makeup Forever primer. Actually, all 4 of us wore this on my wedding day, and we were all so pleased with how well it lasted. Obviously, this was a first impressions video, so I did film this a while ago, but I am in love with the foundation, so it's a bit of a random review. I will link everything I've used in the description bar. Don't forget, I have a tutorial for these eyelashes coming next week. If you want to see some pictures from my wedding, come follow me over on Instagram because I've posted some over there, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!